Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Brian Schnee.
And I'm Amy Nay. Many students have been issued laptops or devices to be able to complete their schoolwork remotely this year during the pandemic.
But one mother was shocked to find her son was accessing pornography on her son's laptop, which is supposed to block such sites.
Fox 13 Spencer Joseph joining us live tonight after speaking with this concerned mom who's sharing her message to try to warn other parents. And Spencer, this isn't something any parent would want to find on their child's computer.
Absolutely not. Now let's call this mother Natalie. That's not her real name. We've hidden her identity, her face, even changed her voice to make sure her family has privacy in this time. But she was horrified to find when she opened her son's computer that there were explicit images on that. Now she wants to share this story to make sure that other parents know the danger.
Every time I send my children to school, I'm allowing them to potentially be exposed and be able to seek out inappropriate sexual material and even pornography.
A mother of a student was horrified to find her son able to look up explicit content on his Chromebook issued by the district that had come preloaded with safeguards that were supposed to prevent that.
But it's definitely not what we would want him to have kind of unrestrained access to.
There had been issues in the past, but after installing home protections against it, she thought they were in the clear.
And then I caught some pornography, actual pornography, on my son's school Google Drive.
So she contacted the district earlier this week.
We didn't hear from them for several days.
Then, on Friday,
They finally contacted us, I think after a nudge from the Utah State Board of Education, who I'd called on Thursday.
Fox 13 reached out to the Jordan School District, who couldn't discuss specifics, but said, quote, "We thoroughly investigate all reports of inappropriate use of district-issued electronic devices and accounts and continually enhance security for student safety."
I know that I'm not the only parent who is fighting this battle with the school district. They're putting a Chromebook in my child's hands and expecting them to learn using it. It's their responsibility to resolve this issue.
But it's not that the safeguards on his computer aren't active. It's that students have found ways around them, such as misspelling words on purpose to bypass blocks. And this mother is hearing students might be sharing that information.
He's pretty determined, but I'm also fairly certain that that's not something that would kind of naturally occur to him. It doesn't surprise me to learn that there's some knowledge sharing about how to access this stuff.
And while this specific issue is going to be taken care of, this could be happening all over the state. And with online learning continuing because of the pandemic, I asked this mother, what's your message to parents?
I really would like parents to be aware that their child may not be as safe as they think they are. So I would urge all parents to be more involved.
So the solution to this specific instance is going to be buying their own Chromebook and installing their own safeguards on it. We'll have more of the details of exactly some of the technical details of this for parents if they want to make sure that their kids are safe up on our website later tonight, fox13now.com. Reporting live, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Spencer, thank you. What a wild weather day across the state. A mix of rain and snow in the Salt Lake Valley. You can see it on this time lapse showing the changing conditions in Salt Lake City. Definitely made it for some dicey conditions for drivers all across the entire state.
Boy, we got a taste of it all, didn't we? On this, our first day of spring officially rolling in here to Utah, I guess, as we'd expect spring in Utah to be, Breck.
Oh, we know it's a roller coaster ride. Yeah, we see it all. Rain, snow, thunderstorms, we got it all in one day and all across the state. It was a super soaker with record-breaking precipitation, at least in Salt Lake City, where for this date, at least for today, we picked up over 0.8 of an inch. Again, a mixture of rain and snow, where the previous record set back in 1946, just shy of 0.7 of an inch. Now, the all-time March daily record was set back a few years back with almost 2 inches of precipitation. So still, for today, we saw that as it was a wet one all across northern into central Utah. Let me show you some of the precipitation amounts again over the past 24 hours. Olympus Cove coming with just over an inch. Bountiful, 0.85 of an inch there. Holiday, close to 0.9 of an inch. Provo, BYU, close to 1/2 inch. Now, where we did see the snow accumulating, fairly impressive. Up in Park City, they picked up 7 inches of snow here over the past 24 hours, and the ski resort seeing a range anywhere between 6 to 12 inches of snow. Alta coming in with 10 inches, where we continue to see snow over the higher terrain across northern Utah. The front that brought all this precipitation now positioning itself across southern Utah. That's where we're still seeing some active weather as we're looking at a band of showers, kind of a mixture of rain and snow, close and running parallel to I-15, looking like just north of St. George, traveling through Cedar City up through Beaver. It is impacting areas such as Delta, Milford as well. Eastern Utah, it's Moab down through Blanding with some showers. And as we look through central Utah, the weather continues on. Now, for the Wasatch Front, we are seeing, again, just south of the lake, a few showers looking over towards Tooele County. Overnight, we're going to see the possibility of some lake effect snow. Does that mean that you might be doing some shoveling come tomorrow morning? We'll answer that coming up in just a bit.
Breck, thank you. Utah drivers know how much snow can impact their driving, but rain like today's can cause problems as well. Tire shops along the Wasatch Front are keeping busy as drivers get the feeling their tires are not gripping the road properly. The rain has a lot to do with that. So too does the fact that Utah no longer requires automobile safety checks.
Get a lot of hydroplaning right now. We've even heard stories from customers today as watching people hydroplane, sliding out, stuff like that. Without safety inspections being in effect, people run their tires down to nothing.
So the best way to make sure your tires are safe is to keep 4 matching good tires on at all times. Tires should be rotated every 5,000 miles to keep wear even. And when they're rotated, experts can make sure they're safe, have enough tread, and the correct air pressure.
New at 9, Salt Lake City police looking for 3 suspects in a shooting at an apartment complex. It all happened at the Solara Apartments at 780 North, 900 West, just before 7 o'clock tonight. Police say this stemmed from an argument inside one of those units at the complex.
They left prior to us being here, and so we're just in the process of hopefully we can find them.
The person that was shot was sent to the hospital, was in stable condition at last check. If you have any information that could help investigators in this, you're asked to contact Salt Lake City Police.
An update now from South Salt Lake. A man is dead and his wife is in jail on suspicion of murder tonight. South Salt Lake police were called to 583 West Belenis Road a little before midnight. A man had been shot multiple times and was dead in this business parking lot you see on the left-hand side of your screen. 46-year-old Emily Fisher was booked on suspicion of murder. She has prior felony convictions and also faces 5 counts of discharging a firearm by a restricted person.
Turning now to COVID-19 by the numbers here in the state of Utah. Our state saw 467 new cases of the virus today. Just over 8% of people tested in the past 7 days have received a positive test result. 160 people are currently hospitalized with the virus, with 57 of those being in intensive care. 2 more Utahns have died due to COVID-19. They were identified both as men over the age of 65, one from Davis, one from Weber County. So far, Utah has lost 2,060 lives to COVID-19.
Well, the big talker right now with COVID-19 is the vaccine. Just over 750,000 people in the state of Utah have gotten at least 1 shot. 413,000 people are now fully vaccinated.
Well, despite a steady rain all through the day, hundreds of Utah's Pacific Islanders in that community received COVID-19 vaccinations. The Utah Pacific Islander Health Coalition, in partnership with Smith's Pharmacy, hosted a drive-through vaccine clinic at the LDS Church parking lot at 660 North Redwood Road. That community seeing a higher rate of COVID-19, and today was part of an ongoing effort to address that.
Looking to have our Pacific Islanders come out and get vaccinated.
Out there, and you can hear the rain coming down, but they weren't getting wet inside of their cars and vehicles as they drove through. This clinic was administering both Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, so second doses will now be available in 3 or 4 weeks.
The Utah Department of Health is responding to Kane County leaders 1 day after they announced their decision to drop the mask requirement in their county. County leaders said on social media last night that a statewide approach has been detrimental and that they need to protect people's freedoms. But the Utah Department of Health is saying otherwise. They sent Fox 13 a statement that says, quote, By public health order, a statewide mask requirement remains in effect for all counties, regardless of transmission levels. By this point, there should be no debating the effectiveness of masks at preventing the spread of COVID-19. We encourage Kane County residents to continue to wear masks where appropriate to protect themselves and other members of their community. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson says she has not ruled out seeking a mask mandate for Utah's most populous county.
Now, this comes as the COVID-19 endgame bill, as it's called, moves closer to taking effect. Fox 13's Ben Winslow has that story.
Mayor Jenny Wilson confirms to Fox 13 she's still contemplating asking the Salt Lake County Council for a mask mandate, even after the statewide mandate is expected to go away April 10th. Governor Spencer Cox is expected to sign into law a bill passed by the legislature dubbed the COVID-19 Endgame. It lifts health restrictions as case counts and hospitalizations lower, but drops the statewide mask mandate much sooner than expected. It does allow counties to issue their own in certain circumstances. In a statement to Fox 13, Mayor Wilson says she's still reviewing her options, but assuming the bill goes into law. The most likely path is the county council's approval if the health department recommends it. The mayor says, we haven't ruled out a possible mask mandate after April 10th. She backs Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall's efforts to ask businesses to require them on their own, regardless of what the legislature does.
Mask wearing is still vital. We're not done. And I'm asking businesses in Salt Lake City to join us today in pledging to continue requiring masks in their establishments until our healthcare experts say it's safe for us to remove them.
The bill allows private businesses to still require them. Some stores have already said they're going to keep insisting customers and employees wear face coverings until health experts recommend dropping them.
Mayor Wilson's mask order for Salt Lake County was an incredible asset for consumer confidence in the county.
The governor told Fox 13 earlier this week he wasn't a fan of the endgame bill, but he negotiated with the legislature because they wanted to remove the mask mandate immediately. So he's expected to sign it into law. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We're just helping a little bit to be a little bit of a part of that.
A little bit going a long, long way. Lots more tonight on Fox 13 News at 9. Coming up, we're going to hear from some of those young volunteers who were out in the rain trying to help struggling Utah families. A behind-the-scenes look at one of the largest food bank donation events in the state.
As millions of Americans get vaccinated against COVID-19, now health officials are warning of a more deadly variant that is spreading. In New York, I'm Alex Hogan. I have the details coming up.
And a Utah congressman sounding off on what a Fox News host had to say about women in the military. Hear Representative Chris Stewart's unique perspective on this issue when we come back. Welcome back. All across the state of Utah today, it was a day of giving.
It really was. From Logan down to St. George and all areas in between, Utahns collected food for families in need.
Fox 13's John Franke was at the first ever Feed Utah food drive. He shares how this event will fill a critical need.
Well, you can see those trucks are being loaded with boxes and bags of food, all donated by Utah families. At the end of the day, volunteers and organizers hope to collect some 1 million pounds of unperishable food. A little rain didn't stop Emily Henderson and her kids from spending Saturday morning collecting food.
We're just helping a little bit to be a little bit of a part of that.
This is what happens when a lot of little parts come together.
You're looking at an incredible Saturday.
Families collected food from their neighbors and brought it all to this church parking lot.
We're looking at one of the best food drives in the nation.
But this didn't just happen at one location. This scene was replicated at 160 throughout the state.
We are so blessed to live in Utah. As individuals, as an organization, there's never a time that I put out the call for help that people in Utah don't rally.
The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints helped put this event together, but filling these trucks required the force of people from all backgrounds.
This is a diverse group from all religions and communities and backgrounds. And that says a lot about Utah and about the influence here, about the ethos of the state, that we can come together. And
hunger does not discriminate.
The need is still very high. Our concern, of course, is sustainability.
Utah Food Bank estimates 1 in 5 Utah children face food insecurity. an issue that's been magnified by the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's going to take a lot of these families a while to get back to where they need to be, and we need to be sure that we're there for them.
On this day, thousands of people, young and old, were there for each other.
Because of this, no family in Utah is going to go hungry.
Filling a need while continuing Utah's tradition of service.
I hope it means that they'll get a little taste of this and want to help a little bit more later in their life.
If you need help or you missed today's event and couldn't donate, we have the link to the Utah Food Bank's website on ours at fox13now.com. In Sandy, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We saw the rain falling out there. Breck, I saw rain, sleet, snow, big winds. I was trying to drive my way through it all. It was
You made
a rough
it here
one.
in one piece, which was good.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I know a lot of people had a hard time out on our roads.
Yeah, it was slow and go here, especially morning into the afternoon. Initially across northern Utah, that storm moving south and east. But we're still not done with the storm across northern Utah here tonight. We've got a couple of concerns that we need to talk about. But let's take a look at the official high today. 62 degrees. You're like, what? 60s? Yeah, we hit that really early in the morning before the front hit. And then throughout the day, the temperatures did drop. Where on average, we should be in the mid-50s. And looking across the state, again, as we look for northern Utah at your highs, these were temperatures that we experienced about 6 a.m., 7 a.m., before that front quickly dropped temperatures throughout the day. Let me just show you the temperature trend throughout the afternoon where, again, this morning we're in the 60s, but once that front hit, we dropped down into the 40s. And then for this evening, we've been down into the 30s, where right now we're in upper 30s in Ogden, currently 36 degrees in Provo. Salt Lake City at 41 degrees with temperatures slightly above freezing. If we do see precipitation, it's going to be mainly kind of still a mixture of some rain and snow, but with some cooler temperatures overnight. As it will funnel in, we're going to be looking at the possibility of snow, even for the valleys. Though, as we look at the mountains, they've extended the winter weather advisory until tomorrow morning, so additional snow accumulations a possibility. Let's take a look at those computer models with the focus again across the mountains. The new models updating this where, again, as we look for tonight through tomorrow morning, potentially we could be picking up a couple more inches in Park City, kind of a range between 3 to 5 inches at Alta, Sundance, maybe 2 to 3 inches, and again, more expected throughout the day. So all in all, we've already picked up close to a foot up in the Cottonwood Canyons, and getting an additional maybe 5 to 6 inches could definitely help things out with building our snowpack. And of course, many of you may be heading to the ski resorts come tomorrow. Now, we've got some scattered showers across the state. Towards southern Utah, with that front moving in and temperatures beginning to drop, it's still fairly mild temperature-wise, where we're kind of still holding on to mainly rain showers, but that rain changing into snow just north of Cedar City, near Cove Fort, I should say. So traveling along I-15 is going to be a concern here for the next probably 3 to 6 hours. And again, as we turn across northern Utah, Tooele County, it's still fairly wet. Now, here's the thing. We're going to see that wind direction change out of the north, that colder air tracking across the lake, so we can see some lake enhancement and the potential of that lake effect snow, where we can see snow accumulations west side of Salt Lake Valley towards the east side of Tooele County, as that front, of course, ushering in this cold air. And we've got another storm lining up. The timing of it looks like on Monday evening. So front moving through, we've got showers overnight. Northern Utah, the lake might kick in. Tomorrow, though, mid-morning, things do improve. Now, we might see some brief showers in the afternoon, kind of very isolated. So we're not quite done with the storm. Round 2, not packing as much of a punch, but where we see snow falling, the potential for valley accumulations in there could be maybe an inch or so, again, on the west side of Salt Lake Valley, which means, of course, traveling in the morning hours could be a concern in those locations. Now, tomorrow's highs, definitely below normal. We're in the 40s. I'll hold on to that threat of some morning showers along the Wasatch Front and extreme eastern Utah a chance. Now, for St. George, you've got the sunshine, cooler temperatures as we're in the 60s, then 50s, dry for the next 7 days. We'll keep temperatures below normal, and it looks like partly cloudy to sunny skies. Northern Utah, it's morning showers. Monday late, we start to see our next storm. It brings a mixture of rain and snow on Tuesday, keeping it cool. An additional storm on Thursday. It's a lot of rain. Next weekend, hopefully clearing out. But all in all, this first week of spring, it's going to be a wet one.
Truly looks like spring in the forecast. Thank you, Breck. Still ahead tonight, a fundraiser for a Provo officer shot in the line of duty. See how the community is coming together on a local farm to help support this recovering hero when we come back. It was just over 3 weeks ago that Provo police officer John Oseguera was shot in the line of duty. Now, right now, he's recovering from his injury.
Fox 13's Diego Romo talked with some supporters who put together a fundraising event for him today in Utah County. It's a story you'll only see on Fox 13.
About 20 people braved the cold temperatures and soggy conditions, all to raise money for the Provo police officer. I got an exclusive look at their show of support.
Rain, snow, sleet, we're here and we love you.
It was part shooting competition, part fundraiser held at a shooting range just outside of Fairfield.
We've got some military folks, we've got some veterans out here. We've got some officers out here as well shooting during this competition.
Rick Washington organized the event as a way to show support for Provo officer John Oseguera and raise money for his family.
We can't give them enough credit and enough support. So without our support, it's hard for them to go to their job every day and put it on the line.
Jorge Garcia, general manager of Super Chicks and American Fork, provided food for the event. He came to show support for both Officer Oseguera and law enforcement across the state.
Every officer goes out there and puts himself on the line for. So yeah, this is just a very small way to be part of something positive.
Competitors paid $20 to enter to see who could get the most hits on a target 400 yards away.
And a lot of police officers get a lot of hate, and I think it's really good to go out and support them and show them that there's people who have their back and who appreciate what they do. You know, they put their lives on the line every day just for us, and we couldn't be more grateful. So
it felt pretty good. I like shooting. I mean, it feels good supporting our law enforcement.
Although the rain stopped a few people from coming, Washington says he appreciates everyone who put in effort to make the event happen.
We've gotten a tremendous amount of support, so it's just not the guys and gals out here. There's other people behind the scenes who's also helped out.
Officer Oseguera was released from the hospital on March 4th and is continuing to recover from his injuries.
Our prayers are with him and with his family. We know that families as well go through a lot of stress to know that their family member is out there putting their life on the line as well.
Washington was able to raise hundreds of dollars for Oseguera and his family. Less than what he had hoped, but he says the show of support is what really matters. In the studio, Diego Romo, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thanks so much, Diego. Ahead in our next half hour, we're over a year into the pandemic and working from home, yet some rural communities are still without high-speed internet access. Hear about the work being done to bridge that digital divide.
Authorities say there's growing fear among the Asian American community as the investigation into the Atlanta shootings continues. I'm Charles Watson in Atlanta. I've got the details coming up.
Thanks so much for sticking with us here on Fox 13 News at 9:30. In your national news tonight, a concerning development in the battle against coronavirus.
Health officials warn a new variant is spreading across the U.S. Fox's Alex Hogan has the latest details.
Health officials are sounding the alarm about a new variant, potentially more contagious and deadly, spreading across the United States. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the first case of P1 COVID-19 variant, commonly known as the Brazilian variant, has been reported in the state. In a statement released Saturday, Governor Cuomo said the infected patient is a 90-year-old Brooklyn resident with no travel history. The alarming report comes as the Biden administration touts a major milestone in its battle with COVID-19. 100 million coronavirus vaccines have been administered since President Biden took office. Nonetheless, vaccination rates remain low in many states as officials battle vaccine hesitancy.
While millions of people are vaccinated, we need millions more to be vaccinated.
Meanwhile, the CDC is relaxing social distancing guidelines in the classrooms. The health agency announced students can safely sit just 3 feet apart in the classroom as long as they wear masks. Many parents hope this move will get more children back to in-person learning. Previously, the CDC recommended children be at least 6 feet apart, but not everyone is happy about the revised guidance.
We're not sending them until next year, just as a precautionary measure to protect them. We got an 18-month-old baby in here, and I can't take that risk.
As it stands now, more than 22% of Americans have at least received 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and almost 12.5% of the population have been fully vaccinated. In New York, Alex Hogan, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The pandemic has exposed problems in our broadband infrastructure here in the United States.
You may have heard of this digital divide. Well, Broadband Now, which is a research organization, found 42 million people don't have access to broadband internet. That's double the number reported by the FCC. The FCC has admitted that its data is wrong due to how it counts connected households. Our partners at Newsy found internet service providers are only required to say where they can reasonably provide service within a neighborhood block. So if one house on the block has broadband, the FCC map considers the entire area served.
It is very frustrating to know that just up the street, they've got all their internet needs taken care of, and we are kind of living in the Stone Age.
Those who can't get broadband but live in an area where it says they are connected are not eligible for state programs or federal funding. As a way to address the problem, the FCC is working to launch a broadband data task force. At least 7 departments of the FCC will be involved in this.
Well, members of the Asian American community say that they are living in fear.
This after an uptick in hate crimes nationwide and a series of shootings in Atlanta that left 8 people dead, mostly Asian American women.
Fox's Charles Watson has more now from Atlanta.
A harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us.
Vice President Kamala Harris speaking at Emory University in Atlanta Friday, addressing a wave of attacks against Asian Americans. Appearing with President Biden, the vice president says it is time for the American people to speak out against hate.
The president and I will not be silent. We will not stand by. We will always speak out against violence, hate crimes, and discrimination.
The visit to Atlanta comes on the heels of a shooting earlier in the week. 8 people, mostly Asian women, were killed in a series of shootings at massage parlors in the Atlanta area. Community leaders say it's the latest incident in a growing trend of hate crimes against Asian Americans.
It has been traumatizing to not feel safe, to be able to go outside, to be in public.
President Biden is also expressing support for the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. The bill would strengthen the government's response and reporting of hate crimes and provide resources for Asian American communities.
Whatever the motivation, we know this. Too many Asian Americans have been walking up and down the streets and worrying.
The investigation into the shootings is ramping up. Police say the suspect may have been motivated by a sexual addiction issue. However, they're not ruling out the possibility that it could have been a hate crime. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah Representative Chris Stewart sharing his take on a recent controversy involving Fox News host Tucker Carlson and the Pentagon. Now, Carlson ridiculed recent changes the military has made to better accommodate women, saying we've got new hairstyles and flight suits, and called it a mockery of the U.S. military. A spokesman responded that the Pentagon won't take personnel advice from a talk show host. Utah Congressman Chris Stewart appeared on Laura Ingram's Fox News program and was asked if some Pentagon funding should be pulled if it's going to what she called left-wing engineering.
In a day when everything is politicized, everything from the NBA and football and toys and Dr. Seuss and the border wall and big tech, everything is politicized. We always counted on one thing not being, and that is the military.
Representative Stewart went on to say the Pentagon's job is to not get involved in politics, but to prepare to fight and win wars.
The Utah Avalanche Center has been warning of backcountry danger and saving lives for 40 years now, and this year has been especially tragic with several deadly slides.
We want to let you know how deeply grateful we are for this remarkable community and all that we have collectively built for the past 40 years. We look forward to the next 40 years and beyond.
Always a lot of passion there with Craig Gordon. You see him here on Fox 13 News in the morning on Sundays. The 2021 spring campaign is underway, and the goal is to raise $75,000. Everyone who donates $100 or more will receive a special edition UAC 40th anniversary Black Rose pin to commemorate this historic season. For more information, you can find it on our website, fox13now.com. Still to come on Fox 13 News at 9, while more and more people get the COVID-19 vaccine, there are some people feeling guilty about getting their shot. We'll explain why this odd trend is happening.
Plus, why some doctors are saying that a beer may be good for you after a workout. We'll get to the bottom of this one coming up next.
Welcome back. Some people would say that securing a COVID-19 vaccine appointment is like winning a golden ticket.
But in some cases, some people who are getting their shot may actually be feeling guilty about it. Some people have been feeling bad that they're getting that vaccine before some of their loved ones. But one psychologist with Vanderbilt University says people should not feel guilt because ultimately they are doing the right thing for themselves and for public health.
When you get on an airplane, one of the things you hear immediately is if we have some turbulence, if the oxygen masks drop down, put yours on first and then take care of someone else, right? That concept holds true in this case as well. That's our message. Push through the guilt and do it anyway.
One thing you can do to keep this vaccine guilt in check is to know in the back of your mind that it will be just a matter of time before that vaccine is available to your loved ones and many more. Here's an interesting reason to crack open a cold one after you finish a workout. Why not reward yourself with that cold, refreshing beer? Well, we've got some information about that.
Well, it sounds like a good question, right? It might be counterintuitive, perhaps, since beers are usually loaded with carbs and even dehydrate us. But some craft breweries are getting creative, and they're coming up with healthy beers that are actually supposed to help our bodies.
Are infusing their beers with electrolytes, potassium, even calcium. Doctors say it's actually okay to have that post-workout beer, but you do need to keep a few things in mind.
If you have the option of choosing a sports-related beer with added contents, such as berries, extracts, mineral salts that's included with low-calorie, low-carb versions, I think those are the ones to go for.
That doctor you heard from says alcohol is associated with a lower risk of stroke and diabetes. But of course, if you want to drink up, it's best to do it in moderation. And it is still preferable that you drink a sports drink with electrolytes before you crack open a beer.
Some solid advice there. Thank you, Amy. Still ahead tonight, from superheroes to spies. Hear about the new releases out in theaters and on demand this weekend.
And later in sports, round one coming to a close at the big dance, including BYU hoping to advance in Indianapolis, while rugby season got going tonight for the Utah Warriors. Highlights of their road test in Texas, back in a bit.
So glad you could join us for a night in on this Saturday evening for Fox 13 News at 9. Breck will have your forecast in just a few minutes.
In entertainment news right now, this week's new releases include Superheroes Uniting, a new spy thriller, and a dark comedy as well.
A good variety there. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has more on what's new in theaters and on demand.
You're the experts on spying.
New in theaters, The Courier with Benedict Cumberbatch.
He plays a British businessman who is unwittingly recruited into one of the great international conflicts of our time, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
I love my wife.
In theaters, on demand, and digital is Happily.
They can't keep their hands off of each other. Their friends can't stand it. And so they are invited to this like couples retreat, couples vacation, and then they're visited by this mysterious stranger who thrusts them into this crazy existential crisis.
In new releases at home, it is time to release the Snyder Cut.
I had a dream.
This 4-hour version of Justice League is both a new version of what came before, but then also a new movie too. There's a lot of additional scenes and different character moments. We've never really seen something like this in the history of movies. And so from a historical standpoint, it's fascinating. But from a movie standpoint, audiences should know that if you watch it, you're going to watch something that critics and audiences and fans alike are enjoying.
In superhero series streaming, there's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+.
Hot off the heels of WandaVision, which was Marvel Studios' first TV series, here's Falcon and the Winter Soldier, their second TV series. This is going to feel a little bit more in line with those Marvel movies.
While Netflix adds the kids' cooking show Waffles and Mochi.
Whoa! To the magic card. And now we have our Oscar nominees and plenty of time to catch up before that April 25th show. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In theaters or on demand, today might have been a good day to catch up maybe on some movies. If you didn't want to be outside, dodging raindrops. Is that the same case for tomorrow, Breck?
Well, we were dodging raindrops, and for some of us, snowflakes. As I show you a time lapse looking across the Salt Lake Valley, yeah, we got it all today. The rain, the snow, the winds, the cold temperatures. And we're not quite done with this storm as of yet. No, Brian, we're going to see a possibility of snow here tonight across portions of northern Utah, specifically coming off the lake. Look at these temperatures, a big cool down. We're right now in the mid-30s as we go through Utah County. Currently 40 degrees in Salt Lake City. We have 20s in Park City, standing in Logan right now at 40 degrees. Yeah, things have been cooling off, particularly in central and southern Utah. Finally, the cold front making its move across the south, seeing a temperature drop in St. George, where you found highs in the 70s. Tomorrow, you're going to be in the low 60s. Now, as we look ahead with some lingering moisture and some colder air moving across the lake, there is a possibility that we could see some lake effect snow. Now, the areas that would be impacted would be the west side of Salt Lake Valley, towards the east bench of Tooele, where we could see snow accumulations, nothing of great significance, but potentially an inch or a little bit more. The big question is, do temperatures cool off that at the surface, that snow could stick to the roadways? It is a possibility, but I think we might be okay. But that's what we'll be waking up to as we're looking at some showers across northern Utah. Everyone's going to be experiencing the cooler air. And as I mentioned, we have more storms to talk about. Now, winter weather advisory has been extended as we look towards the Wasatch Mountains, the northern mountains, western Uinta Mountains, here through tonight through tomorrow morning, with, again, some additional waves moving through, providing for snow accumulations. As we look here over the next 12 hours, we're going to see an impact, again, across the Wasatch Mountains. Benefiting the ski resorts, we're not going to see nothing too great, but potentially anywhere between 3 to 6 inches, and also across the central mountains. Most of the valleys throughout the day stays dry. But again, as we look for that lake effect snow, that could have an impact, again, on the west side of Salt Lake Valley down through Point of the Mountain. Now, as we go from tomorrow through Monday, we start to see our next winter storm lining up. And I say winter storm because it will bring, once again, snow, mainly to the mountains as far as snow accumulations. But once again, like this storm, we'll see snowflakes for the valleys as well. Now, as we look across the state, southern Utah, a couple of areas where showers continue on. It's still going to be wet and slushy along I-15. You're seeing that change in color, green, then to blue. So that slushy road could be a possibility, again, moving from Cedar City, Beaver, Cove Fort, that area. As we turn towards southeastern Utah, also seeing some showers. Again, as we look across northern Utah, light snow activity through Tooele at this hour. Could run in kind of a mixture of rain and snow along I-80. Also noticing another band of showers, fairly heavy, just west of Ogden, which definitely could impact areas such as Roy, Hooper, and moving further southward, Clinton down through Layton, and at least through Weber and Davis County. There's a possibility of seeing some brief showers before we hit midnight. There's the cold front. It's moving on. We see some drier air tracking in for tomorrow, but then it quickly gets replaced by our next storm. Again, it hits late Monday evening, and it's going to mainly be impacting northern and central Utah. So for tonight, we get the showers. But as we look tomorrow, it quickly moves on in the morning hours, but look at those temperatures. Slow to climb. We'll get into the 40s, officially getting to the high of 47 degrees in Salt Lake City. We'll see some mountain showers, southwest Wyoming, central and southern Utah. Looks like that storm moves on, and you see sunshine in the Dixie area with temperatures in the low 60s, 50s on Tuesday. We keep it dry, some clouds and some wind, but as far as showers are concerned, southern Utah, you're good to go. Northern Utah, early morning showers, but again, for most of the day, we're good. As we'll be seeing some clouds Monday, mixture of rain and snow with our next storm on Tuesday. Then another storm on Thursday. Looks to be rain in the valleys, snow in the mountains. It's cool for this week, and we keep some showers going for the first week of spring.
A great start at the dance for the Pac-12 Conference. Oregon State, Colorado, and USC all winning round one. And then Oregon's moving on uncontested after their opponent, Virginia Commonwealth, had to bow out early with COVID. As for the last of them, UCLA, they've already won themselves a come-from-behind overtime thriller in the first four. Tonight's opponent, though, that was BYU, a team hungry after being denied a chance at the NCAA tournament this time last year, a program making their first appearance in 6 years. This one just wrapped up. The Bruins took an 11-point lead at the half, and they won by that same spread. 73-62 the final. The Cougars did not shoot well from the three-line or the free-throw line tonight. Alex Barcelo led the Cougs with 20 points in that first-round upset loss in Indianapolis. Top 25 West Coast Conference volleyball. BYU already up a set on San Diego. Watch the save here by Whitney Bauer. It would start a marathon point for the Cougars, speeding up for time. It does eventually end, I promise you. Kate Grimmer, the block for set point. Grimmer adding a match-high 14 kills as well. Then all BYU in the third. Taylor Nixon on the outside for the clean sweep of the Lady Toreros. The male Spikers with a shot to take all 4 matches against Pepperdine this season. BYU just dominant in Malibu. Start with some Italian stallion. David Gardini pulls back the hammer there. Blue wrapping this one up in about 90 minutes. Felipe Fajira this time. A lot of international flavor on that BYU roster as number 2 disposes of number 4 yet again. Dixie State football on the East Coast at 9th-ranked Kennesaw State. The Trailblazers led 7-3 after 1 quarter. For the Owls, reel off 24 unanswered. Punt goes awry with Cade Loden 15 yards the other way for Kennesaw. Dixie unable to catch up from there as they fall by 10 in the state of Georgia this morning. Former Utah State soccer player and Syracuse native Amber Marshall has signed with the Houston Dash of the NWSL. Once a member of the now disbanded Utah Royals reserve squad, the midfielder's deal is for 1 year. Rivalry soccer up on the hill. Colorado scoring minute 6 off a throw-in here. Shira James poking home a goal for the Lady Buffs. The Utes with plenty of time to match, but they never could. Their closest look clanked off the crossbar. Courtney Talbot unable to connect. Utah falls to 2-6-2 on the year. Utah hosting the Pac-12 Gymnastics Championships at the Maverick Center. The Red Rocks in session 2. Miley O'Keefe with a 9.95 on bars. Sticks the landing as well. Utah in front of the pack early. Crystal Issa adding to it on bars. Another near-perfect routine. She kept it going on beam as well, and then ending with more O'Keefe here, taking the all-around honors with a score of 39.7. Utah takes it, followed by second place Cal. Utah State hosting their own conference championship with the Aggies, Cougars, and T-Birds all in Logan. USU's Leighton Varnador taking the all-around, but the Aggies finished third ahead of SUU. Boise State second, which gives the crown to 12th-ranked BYU. Abby Minor-Alder notching a 9.95 on the floor routine as the Cougars snatched the Mountain Rim title. Taylor Lamont recorded a 4-1 win on his last day at the NCAA Wrestling Championships, placing 5th overall, while his teammate Demetrius Romero had an injury default. He finished 6th. It's the first time the Wolverines have had multiple All-Americans in the same season. The Utah Warriors playing their first rugby match in over a year. The 2021 slate beginning at Austin, where they go up 15-7. The BYU product Josh Whippy across. Then to start half 2, Sama Malololo just keeps the feet pumping. Utah widening that lead. The Gilgronis did have a kick at the very end for the win, but it came up short. The Warriors hold on 30-28 in interim coach Sean Pittman's first game at the helm. And this might help the Jazz out some. Lakers Hawks, where LA watched their guy LeBron James turn an ankle. Watch him cringe during the scuffle for the loose ball. LeBron would try and play, but soon after left for the locker room, abusing a chair on his way there. The Lakers, who are already without Anthony Davis right now, they fell at home 99-94. We'll be right back.
Finally tonight, live music returning to Vivint Arena. This is from tonight, this video right here. The band, the National Parks, held their concert there tonight with all of the proper precautions in place to try to keep everybody in attendance safe. It's the only concert happening there in the span of 3 months and one of only 7 concerts happening here at the venue this year.
Good to see them rocking out and good to see a full fan group there supporting them.
Yeah, slowly but surely we're getting there, right? Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 13 News at 9.